What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the Belly of Sports Media Network. You can find us on all things podcasting, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast fix from. And, of course, you can find us on the full video version of this episode is on Belly Up's YouTube channel. So you guys check them out, Belly Up Sports YouTube, and you'll find us there. Amongst other great podcasts that are available at Belly Up Sports. Also, you can find us on Goals TV, GOZ.tv. That's how you can find the full video versions of this episode. And, of course, the videos that we also have on our YouTube channel. We usually break these episodes down into shorter videos, and we discuss here. And that will be available also on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe also to Insert Name's YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, X, at Insert Name FC. And, yeah. This episode's going to be a little bit different, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. One, because I haven't really typed anything up. So, but I know for sure we are going to be talking, we're going to talk about some MLS stuff. Some things that are it's not really like football specific, but it makes sense to tie it in this aspect of it. Liga MX, they're going into their final day of regular season matches for the Apertura before they go into their playoffs. So we'll go ahead and talk about the table for the Apertura, give you guys players of the week, give you guys some games to watch this weekend. And yeah, it's a pretty straightforward episode. Hope you guys had a great Halloween. And for everybody going into this weekend, I hope also have a great and safe Veterans Day, and happy birthday, Marines, as well, because November 10th is the Marine Corps birthday, so I'm just going to try to get ahead of it. I will say real quick, I'm not entirely sure if there will be a new episode next week, because I'm just going to be really busy with my niece's Quinceañera, and so I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be necessarily available to record, just because I'm going to have family over, and obviously it's a pretty big day. If you guys aren't really familiar with Quinceañeras, it's a tradition in the Latin community. When a girl turns 15, they have this big celebration of her essentially becoming a woman. And yes, my niece is going to be 15 years old. Yes, probably going to be an emotional wreck that day, but so because of that, obviously that's like the priority. So if I don't have time to record, it's probably because of that reason. So I'm just going to get ahead of it. I'm going to say there isn't going to be an episode. It is what it is. But if not, maybe I can figure out a way to get an episode out, even if it's just going to be like a 30-minute episode. But we'll figure that when we get there. But yeah. So pretty straightforward episode. Like I said, not everything's typed in yet. Actually, very much nothing is typed in right now. But I'm going to try to get this episode out and give you guys a good one. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. All right, guys. Before I get into all the topics that we're going to talk about in this episode, which I'm just going to say it again, I have no idea what we're going to talk about here, but it's look, no one likes the playoff format here in Major League Soccer. I just want to get right into it. It happens now, ever since now Messi is here now, right? Going back to last year, just people now like learning about this playoff format. No one likes the playoff format. I just want to say this again. No one likes this playoff format. No one likes this best of 3 round 1 of the MLS Cup playoffs. We don't like that it has so many teams in the playoffs. We don't like that when you finish round 1, we take a break for the international break. And we get it. We get it. It's not that we don't get it. We actually really do get it, and we also are very much annoyed of it. We don't like it either. So I just want to reiterate that to the people that just feel, and it's always the people that don't watch MLS. And you guys complain for it for someone that's just not very much at all like invested in MLS Cup playoffs. as someone that is invested in MLS Cup playoffs because I do want to see the MLS get better, I want to see the MLS improve, and I know that this playoff format sucks. Here is the reason why this playoff format is for what it is. Because once again, yes, people are trying to grow this game in this country. It's not shocking. Look, the U.S. is in fact has a fandom for football. I'm talking about football, not American football. There is in fact a fandom. The problem is that it is not towards MLS. It's not amongst the local game here. It is very much more so overseas. There's a lot of people that love La Liga, people love Premier League, and I am at no fault of it either. I also like those leagues. I watch overseas. I watch, and it's part of my upbringing. I also watch Liga MX. If I actually was able to figure out how to watch it, I'd probably go watch Brazilian League and the Argentinian League. I know they play them from time to time, like on beIN Sports, but it's not something that I get to everyday watch, But the whole point of me saying this is because for MLS, they need to try to gain new fans. And new fans means that they're probably not, football fans to begin with, or they don't like MLS, but they love football. And so what do you do here? How do you get, I guess, in some aspect, a way to combine that? How do you combine the American fan with the with the football fan, not with the American fan and the football fan that lives in the United States? How do you get those two to watch Major League Soccer? And they've been going through different ideas to try to get people to watch it, and maybe it hasn't worked out. I mean, yes, Lionel Messi has helped in some aspect, but at the same time, it really hasn't. But the reason for the playoff format, the reason why the format is what it is, the reason why there is a playoff to begin with, is because, once again, this is how you have to, in some way, make it relatable to the American fan, just the American sports fan. And for them, what they know is playoffs. To them, whoever finishes on top of the standings, they don't understand. There's people that just don't really seem to care about that. They like the playoff atmosphere. They like the pressure of the playoffs, right? I mean, the World Series just happened, and I know like some people don't like the fact that Major League Baseball calls their championship the World Series, but that's a whole other discussion for another day. And honestly, I frankly don't fucking care. Sorry for cussing Kelsey. I frankly don't fucking care. Sorry for cussing Kelsey. Because the reason why I say I don't care is because I'm a baseball fan. And the reason why I don't necessarily have an issue with the word World Series is because baseball, in some way, is an international sport. And MLB is in fact the best league. This is where everyone wants to go to play at. Guys that play in South Korea, people that play in Japan, people that play in Mexico, and in other Cuba and all those countries, they all know that for them to really make it, it is in Major League Baseball. And so I understand that concept, that why it's called the World Series, because specifically those countries that do follow baseball. Once again, the Caribbean nations, which obviously like Puerto Rico, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, even Curacao, Venezuela, which I mean I know that's South America, but still, Venezuela, some places in Colombia, Nicaragua, those countries that do like baseball, that grew up watching baseball, or have their own baseball programs, like they're watching the World Series. Same thing with people from Japan and South Korea and even all the other regions that do have their own baseball programs. The world is watching it. That's why they call it the World Series. Now, once again, it is nowhere near the scale of a World Cup. It's nowhere near the scale of a Champions League. It's nowhere near the scale of those. Those are just massively huge international huge in an international scale. We're talking about a very niche sport that not many people play. Football is very much the world's game, and I've said that plenty of times. Everyone plays the game. It's very accessible to play the game because all you really need is a ball, right? At least for me that's the beauty of the game. That doesn't mean that everyone can be good at it, but that is the beauty of the game, is that you don't need much to play, and that's why it is the world's language when it comes to sports. That's why football is so popular, and I hate all these stupid, like, we've been watching a lot. I've been seeing like nothing but videos of just people trying to debate like what's harder, soccer or whatever random sport they want to compare it to. Who gives a flying fuck? Sorry for cussing, Kelsey, but who literally gives a fuck about this shit? Like, okay. Look, at the end of the day, to make it as a professional in any sport, regardless of what the sport is, whether it's football, American football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever sport it is, to get to a professional level is still, at the end of the day, that is a top thing to achieve. And I don't understand why people have to belittle every sport because they just don't watch it, or for some reason they feel like their sport's not getting enough love versus that sport. If you don't understand why football is so popular amongst the world, that's your own problem. That's your own fault. Has nothing to do with why, at the end of the day, more people around the world would much rather watch football. More people would much rather see people kick a ball than watch NFL, than watch MLB, than watch NBA, than watch any other sport. And that's fine. If you love those sports, that's fine. But here's the real kicker at the end of the day. That opinion that you think you have that's somewhat valid, no one gives a fuck. Sorry for cussing, Kelsey. Just like whatever I'm saying here, no one gives a fuck what I'm saying. Like that. That's the whole point of an opinion. It's not factual. It doesn't have like and like at the end of the day, it's an opinion. If you don't like football, you don't like football. If you like basketball, great, you like basketball. But that does and just stay there. Be happy with your sport. Stay there. Why do you go? First of all, you're going into other people's content for sports that you don't really care for, to share your 2 cents. One, they don't really care. You're giving them numbers. Secondly, but the whole point of all this is that, like, and unfortunately that's where the MLS is fighting, right? Because you have the American fan that probably just doesn't care too much about soccer, and then you have the Americans that do watch football but view MLS as a lesser product because it's nowhere near the level of Europe. Now, and that's like a whole other issue, but the way I'll say it like this is that there is other countries of, prime example, El Salvador. El Salvador is a football nation. People love football in El Salvador. It is probably the most popular sport in El Salvador. They love football. They have a league in El Salvador that does get good attendance, that clubs are supported. People are fans of those clubs. Prime example, I'll use it for what I know. So my family is from Metapan. The club that they have is Isidro Metapan. That is the club of that community. That club, Isidro Metapan, I believe, are 10-time champions in the Salvadorian League. And once again, they are proud of that club. They support that club. Now, there's also people from El Salvador. I'll use an example right now. My nephew is a Barca fan. He loves Barcelona. But his club is like he identifies Barcelona as his club. That's who he roots for. That's who he supports undeniably. Does he love Isidro Metapan? Yes, he does. So there's other countries that do this. Like, it's not like weird. And maybe people will argue that the Salvadorian League is probably a very beneath league. Like, it's not a great league. I will tell you, it's entertaining. It is an entertaining league. I enjoy it. I watch it because it's fun, and it's not the best football, but it is enjoyable. It is very intense. It does get very physical, and I love it. It's fun. I recommend you guys watch a watch a game, just watch a random match, man. You're gonna get some chuckles out of it. It's a fun time. I guarantee it. But my point being that there's people that support their local clubs, but still support overseas. You can like both. It doesn't mean that you can't like both. You can. I like the Houston Dynamo. That is the team I support here in the United States. Is the Houston Dynamo. That is my local city. I am from Houston. That's my club, right? But I am also a Madrista. That is my club. That is the team that I will go to war for. But obviously, I do also like the Houston Dynamo. You can have both. It's not crazy. It's not crazy. And yes, I know MLS is nowhere near the level of the Premier League. They're nowhere near La Liga. Like they're battling with like Liga MX. That's kind of where they're kind of in their locale. I'm not trying to say they're competing with the Premier League. I'm not. That's my whole point. They're two different things. This is like it's Chinese food. Well, yeah, it's Chinese food and hamburgers, right? They're two completely different things, and you can like both. No one shames you if you just like hamburgers and you don't like Chinese food. No one's gonna shame you for it. I mean, some people might shame you, but that's the point. They're two different things, and you can enjoy both. It is perfectly fine, and that is what MLS is fighting. You know that they have to try to find a way to get the football fan that lives in the United States to like MLS. At the same time, they need to get that American sports fan who doesn't really care about soccer to care about soccer. That is the battle that Major League Soccer is. I know I went into a real long rant, and you're probably wondering where I was going with this, but I was going to get there. I was going to come back to this. But that is the battle that they're facing. That is what they're going through. And so when you're trying to get that, you need to find ways to get familiarity for the American fan, which playoffs. How do you get the football fan players? That's why you bring in a Lionel Messi. That's why you bring in a Hungman's son, because these are guys that they used to watch. You know, Sunday morning, Saturday morning, you know, Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon. Those are the teams that they're watching. Those are the guys they're watching, and they're hoping that hey, you bring this guy along the way, bring him over here. Maybe we can get people to watch this team. And then when they go watch the team, they're like, they don't play that bad. I kind of want to support this team. I kind of want to watch more games. Or maybe I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna want to watch an MLS game. I watched the MLS game. It's not that bad. I don't want to support Miami because that's not my local market. Let me find out my local team, and then they go from there. That's what MLS is hoping for as far as like getting players. Now for the American fan, once again, they know playoffs. So if they don't see the playoffs, they just think then what's the point of all this, right? And the point is that regular season matches should matter. It should. And that is why you have the playoff format, and which is fine with me. I'm really not against the playoff format. Liga MX has a playoff format. The Salvadoran League has a playoff format. So to me, it's not really that foreign to people from this side of at least in North America, North and Central America. It's not a foreign concept to have a postseason. Like I said, Liga MX has a playoff format. And that is viewed as a respectable league amongst others people, amongst the football fans, right? So, like, for me, that's how you get Americans to like the sport. Now you have a playoff atmosphere, playoff settings, winner take all type matches, right? And I think what MLS was hoping that they could accomplish was with this best of three type first round is okay. Oh, there's a game one. Okay, game two. The problem is that with this thing, first of all, it's stupid. I've said it plenty of times. I don't like this playoff format. It needs to be changed, and I think it is going to get changed sooner rather than later. Especially now that Messi's staying put till 2028. I think there's going to be a lot more changes happening with MLS already. Obviously, they're working on changing the season schedule is going to be changed. Like they're going to go to a spring fall season, no longer the fall. Fall spring season, no longer the fall spring season. So spring fall season. So like they're not doing that anymore. So they're gonna move on from that, which I think that's gonna implement some changes for the playoff format. Obviously, we're hearing now that and someone that worked for the Premier League is coming over and taking over as president of USL, which obviously once again USL they're doing promotion relegation, so that's going to add in another aspect of how that is going to be managed. And obviously if USL shows that promotion relegation does in fact work, that's going to change a lot of things as far as what MLS needs to be doing. And so with that being said, though, eventually the playoff format is going to change, because I think a lot of people have complained about this best of three thing at this point. That I think that MLS has gotten the idea, like, hey, we need to change this up. I think it was an interesting attempt, but at the end of the day, it's just you're adding more games than really needs to be. I'm fine with a 2-leg. Like I've said it plenty of times, like do a 2-leg all the way to the final, and then the final just be a one-off game. That's perfectly fine with me. Like the rest could be 2 legs, and if you guys don't know what 2-leg is, it's obviously you play 2 matches, a home and away, and they combine the scores from both those games, and the team that has obviously more goals advances. If, in the event of a draw, you would just go to extra time and penalties if needed. But and once again, MLS is a young league. Like they're trying to figure things out, and once again, their task is to grow the game in this country. And they need to be able to reach out to those fans of the football fan that lives in America and the American fan. Like to get those two to get in on MLS. That's really the challenge. And unfortunately, as they're trying to figure things out, you have the actual MLS fans who are kind of just going with it, right? They kind of have to all right, well, this is the new format. It's kind of dumb. And like I said, if you talk to many MLS fans, more than likely, I'm not going to say all of them disagree with this format, but more than likely, most people don't like this format. And I've stated it. One of my biggest gripes, but besides just the best of 3 series just being just dumb, in my opinion, at least for in a sense of football, the break in between for the international, because after round 1, there's going to be a break for a week because of the international break. So these guys that maybe came off of a big win, which would be a momentum shifter going into that next game, now they're kind of sizzling. They're kind of like cooling down, and then they go into their matchup, whoever they play against, right? And so it's just a big gripe, man. Like if we need to be able to have playoffs like consecutively, like it has to be played like, here's the weekend for this round, weekend for this round, weekend for that round, until we get to the final, right? That's how it should be. But obviously with this best of 3 round 1 thing, which I won't totally shit on. Sorry for cussing, on MLS for at least trying it. Like I get it that when you watch NBA, you watch MLB, and you watch NHL, you see like the playoff atmosphere when it's the best of 7, right? When they're going, it gets intense, especially once you get closer to those elimination games, right? Like when the team has all they need is win this game and then it's over, right? And the other team is kind of having to be desperate, right? I get what they're trying to do, what they were hoping they can gain. I just think that not many people that like football want that for this sport. And I think it's a little different because, a lot of those games, they probably have like a day off in between games, or if for Major League Baseball, they play consecutively. And obviously the travel day is the only time that they don't play. But there's a bunch of things that come into play there that in the football aspect, it just doesn't work. And so, yes, for the people that have been complaining about this best of 3 series that makes no sense, we're all with you. No one is I'll say majority are with you. Like what you're saying isn't crazy to us. But I mean, the only thing that's annoying is we just know you're a Messi fan that just wants to see Messi win. And I totally get that. But guess what? You guys were complaining about it last year, and you're complaining about this year. And if the format continues for next season, which I don't think so, because I think it's going to be a shortened season, because obviously they're going to be switching over to to be aligned with the rest of the world as far as football goes. But the playoff format's going to be there. It is what it is. And if you're going to keep watching this league, be open-minded. This league's different from the other leagues. So, just be open-minded. Check it out. See if you really do like it, Why do you have to shit on something just because it's Major League Soccer. Like that. Honestly, that's the reason why you guys don't like it. It's Major League Soccer. Like, have you actually really watched the games? Like, the games aren't terrible. They really are not that. They're not terrible. I'm not saying they're elite. I'm not saying like this is world class games, but they're. I can sit there and enjoy a game. I really have, and I have plenty of times will, as someone that does want to see Major League Soccer improve and grow. And it's going to improve and grow. Changes are going to happen. MLS is going to get better. This league is still very young. I'm older than Major League Soccer. That should just tell you how young this league is. Like, it just is. That's how it is right now. It's going to get better. I say give MLS a shot. Really give it a shot. Give it a fair shot. Don't go in with already you have to go in open-minded. You cannot, like, for any reason, go in there already with criticism. Like, go in open-minded, just watch it for what it is. And this is coming from someone that once didn't take MLS seriously. I didn't like MLS at one point. I just didn't. Didn't care too much about the atmosphere. And once again, this was things that I just didn't bother to learn about. Like, and when I in fact watched an MLS game, it was mainly, so like obviously I'm a U.S. men's national team supporter, and so a lot of the guys that played for the U.S. played in Major League Soccer. Specifically, my favorite player, Kobe Jones. So I finally was like, you know what, LA Galaxy, that's where Kobe Jones plays. Let me watch a Galaxy game, and I remember watching that Galaxy team. And I was like, this team's actually pretty good. And I was actually enjoying watching the game. I didn't have a problem with the way they play. Like, I didn't feel the game was beneath me or first of all, fuck, you're sitting there watching on a couch. Like, who are you to say that that's what a game is better? Everything's better than you to begin with. But I think that, like, when you go in with an open mind, you see for what it is, and it's really not bad. Now, did I become an LA Galaxy fan? Fuck no. But I did gain an appreciation for MLS, and for me as someone to understand that, like, if we're trying to grow the game here in the U.S., MLS needs to be supported. Because if we don't have a local league, then the game isn't really going to grow. So it is important to have the MLS. MLS is, and I know USO and all that, I get it. But at the end of the day, everyone, when you think of U.S., when you think of the leagues in the U.S., you don't think of USO. You think of Major League Soccer. Now, maybe things will change at some point, but for the meantime, it is Major League Soccer. So, just needed to get it off my chest at that point. But, all right, we'll move into whatever conversations, whatever headlines we're going to have for this episode. Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip, using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BELLYUP20 at CanadipCBD.com. Once again, BELLYUP20 at CanadipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canadips for being a great partner of Belly Up Sports. All right, guys. So, headlines for this week is going to actually involve El Clásico. All of them is going, in some aspect, El Clásico, but it's like Real Madrid and Barcelona-esque. So we're going to talk about the aftermath of El Clásico. If you guys don't know, been living under the rock. The Rock. Some of you may get that reference, and maybe most of you guys won't. A lot of shit happened after the El Clásico. Sorry for cussing. So we'll start things off with Lamine Yamal. Now, I shared my thoughts on Lamine Yamal, and honestly, I am perfectly fine with him talking his shit. Sorry for cussing, Kelsey. It's perfectly fine. Like, the thing is, what people don't want to understand is that the rivalry needs to be the rivalry. Like, there needs to be pettiness between the two. Like, it's perfectly fine. Lamine Yamal. Here's the thing: if Barcelona would have won, no one would have said anything about Lamine Yamal. No one would have said a thing. Also, it doesn't help that in this game, Lamine Yamal just wasn't a factor in this match at all. But at the end of the day, he's a kid. He's gonna talk his shit, and I'm fine with it. But that's the problem. Well, not the problem, but here's what comes with when you talk your shit. You either back it up or you don't. And in this case, he wasn't able to back his shit up. He, it happened. Obviously, if you guys aren't fully aware, he made some remarks about Real Madrid, calling them, basically accusing them of cheaters, saying that they rigged the games, all that stuff. Which I made a lot of jokes about. That's pretty much calling the kettle black, and respectfully so, especially when you think about all the accusations that Barcelona received for paying referees. This isn't a he say she say kind of thing. I'm just saying both clubs do get favorable calls from referees. They are the two biggest clubs in the world, so you would expect them to get some favorable calls from time to time. And this is coming from a Madrista that I'm fully aware we do get favorable calls. But that doesn't dictate how these matches perform. Is all I'm saying. Obviously, he made his remarks, right? And after the game, so me and Edward, we talked about that there was some friction happening after the match, right? We talked about it. We talked about what was happening with the benches, all that stuff. We talked about this part, but we just didn't know the whole story. And me and Edward kind of said, like, we said our things about how it's great to see the rivalries back. Like, it's great that these matches are as heated as it gets because there needs to be friction. They're just like Barcelona and Real Madrid is the biggest rivalry in the world. Let's just be honest. And when the rivalry is heated, it makes this rivalry juicier. Like when it is back and forth, it makes things juicier for this rivalry. It is a rivalry. It is a Clásico. And I get all those things. So a lot of the Madrid players confronted Lamine Yamal saying that he was talking too much, and everyone was kind of bashing Carvajal for him to, why is this, which by the way, me and him are the same age. Why is this 33-year-old letting this 18-year-old get in his head? And you can say maybe that's what it is, but at the same time, like Dani Carvajal is a Madrista. Like he played in the academy, he went through the system, so this badge means something to him. And you're defacing his club, right? You're spewing about his club, saying that everything that he's worked for as a Real Madrid player, as captain of Real Madrid, is a stain to football. That's essentially what Lamine Yamal is applying. I know that's not exactly what he said, but that in his head, in Dani Carvajal's head, that's what's coming off of. You're talking too much trash, and so he gets confronted, and all the Madrid players, they were kind of like, oh yeah, you talk a lot of shit, right? But where was it? Where was it today? Hey, look, here's the thing. Lamine Yamal, he could have gone two ways here. He could have, made it more. He could have done the Vinicius Jr. route where which Vinicius Jr. is a very emotional player. Lamine Yamal isn't as, I guess, hot-headed as as Vinicius Jr. is, but Lamine Yamal could have gone that route, but he didn't. Right? He just kept. I mean, he did confront him a little bit, but he kind of was also kind of walking away. Lamine Yamal, for what we say about his age, being 18 years old, there is surprisingly a lot of maturity from this kid. How he handles with the racism that he does receive, being of a player of a player of color. Like those are some things that he's able to handle. Right? He keeps it professional, and yes, maybe not the most professional moment for Dani Carvajal, and I get it. But this is a Clásico, and that's kind of where I'm like, I'll let it slide here. I'm going to be pick and choosy, but I'm going to tell you the same thing. If Dani Carvajal, if Vinicius Jr., if these guys were talking shit and they put out a performance like that, I would be saying, yeah, Barcelona has every right to talk their shit. They embarrassed them out there. As a matter of fact, last year's El Clásico, when they swept Real Madrid in El Clásicos, Real Madrid had nothing to say. It was terrible how they performed. It doesn't, despite the injury crap. Like at the end of the day, Real Madrid just didn't perform. Barcelona excelled. They played their game. So they have every right to showboat. They have every right to it's bragging rights. That's what along comes with winning a Clásico. It's bragging rights. And so I would have not faulted if Lamine Yamal did the same. If roles were reversed, I wouldn't have blamed Lamine Yamal being like, "Hey man, you're talking a lot of trash for someone that can't win games." See, it's the same thing. It's perfectly fine. It's a rivalry. Things are gonna get heated in rivalries. Uh, so I don't make it a big deal. Lamine Yamal said his thing, and the one thing I will say, so people that think I'm the only thing I said when he came out saying all that stuff, I was like, he better be able to back it up. He better be able to back it up. To that game, El Clásico, which just wasn't his day, and that's what people are going to talk about. That he said all that stuff, and look where it's at. And I'll throw it in on Vinicius' side. Vinicius said a lot of things. Says a lot of things about Spain. He said he's very opinionated of the racism that's going on in Spain. And people say, "Oh, he can't be talking about that stuff. He can't be saying these things about the country he plays in." Sure, he can. You very much can. There is no world that says you're not allowed to speak. Like, this is their truth. This is their reality. However they perceive it. And let's be honest, these guys do receive a lot of racism. That's on. And I'm not gonna say it's perfectly fine. That's terrible. But there's ways of how to address the issue. Lamine Yamal does it a completely different way. Vinicius clearly does it a whole different way. But I just wanted to point the only thing I was trying to state from that, the whole racism thing. I'm not trying to make this whole racism discussion, but Lamine Yamal, he's in a position where if he's gonna speak things, he's gonna be vocal about things. He's got to know that he's gonna get confronted for the things that he says. He got confronted for what he said, and I think, hey, he could have made that situation a whole lot worse. So I commend him for that part. But once again, I don't blame the Real Madrid players confronting him about it. You're spewing things about their club. You know, so yeah, that club means something to them. You're saying all these things about them. They're not gonna appreciate it. So yes, they're gonna talk crap. They're gonna talk their shit as well. It's the same thing as Lamine Yamal's gonna talk his shit. Real Madrid players are going to talk their shit too. Sorry for Kelsey. But that's really what it comes down to. I'm not saying that, Lamine Yamal needs to stay quiet. I'm not saying shut up and dribble. He's going to develop his personality. He's still young. He's still going to, we're going to find out what kind of player and person Lamine Yamal is in years to come. And this is just another part of his origin. We're still in his origin story. It's crazy when we think about a kid that has had so much success at such a young age. But this is just the beginning of Lamine Yamal. This is just a chapter of the storybook that is Lamine Yamal, and I hope it's gonna be a fun story to begin with. But like this whole, oh man, let your game do the talking. He's gonna let his game do the talking. Let's be honest, man. This kid he's fun to watch. He's what makes you feel really excited about the future of this game and all these things. But at the same time, man, like look, there's limits, right? There's limits as how cocky and arrogant you can be. I don't think this is in one of these cases cocky and arrogance. This is a guy that plays for Barcelona, plays for the Barca badge, and he's not going to like Real Madrid. He's just not. Why would he say anything nice about Real Madrid if that's his rival? He came through the Barcelona academy. He was clearly a Barca fan. Like, why would he in an interview like, yeah, Real Madrid, they're the best team in the world. Like, it's going to be an honor. No. Why would, first of all, if you're a Barca fan, you hear that, like you fired Xavi, you fired Xavi Hernandez when he was saying things like, yeah, it's going to be hard to compete with Real Madrid. That's a fireable offense. I get why you fired him. I kind of thought it was boneheaded, but at the same time, I get why you fired him because you don't want to hear, "Oh, we're just gonna hope we can beat Real Madrid." No, they want the guys that wear that Barca shirt to be fuck Real Madrid every day. Like, sorry for cussing, Kelsey, but that's really the reality is. Especially if you're going to be playing for a club that's very prestigious and is part of a very prestigious rivalry, you are not gonna want them to say nice things about the rival. As a fan, as a board member, as a player that grew up through the system, you don't want to hear nice things about your rival. You just don't. And so Lamine Yamal is never going to say anything nice about Real Madrid. He doesn't have to say nice things about Real Madrid. He can say what he wants. And at the end of the day, there is going to be repercussions if you can't back it up. And that is one of those cases. I think Lamine Yamal made this rivalry spicy. I think that it added a whole thing. Yes, did that did that mean that that Real Madrid took it personally? They did. They showed it on the field. He didn't. That's why we're talking about it. But I think no, I'm fine with. Like I said, a Clásico isn't a Clásico unless there's friction. And for all the people that are like, oh, but Carvajal and Lamine Yamal are teammates. They can't be talking like that to each other when they're teammates in Spain. I'm sorry, but do we just forget about the 2008, 2010, 2012 Spain? Last time I checked, won the Euro, won the 2010 FIFA World Cup, and then won the 2012 Euro. That team. That team that was majority Barcelona, but sprinkle in a few Real Madrid players there too, right? Sergio Ramos, Iker Casillas. Maybe that's probably it. But, and then Barcelona players. Like these guys that compete in El Clásico, fight tooth and nail in El Clásico. When it was time to put on that Spanish kit, at that point it's not about El Clásico. It's about the country of Spain. So I can guarantee you this. Yes, right now, because Lamine's wearing that striped kit, and Dani Carvajal is wearing that white kit. Yeah, they're gonna beef, right? Because it's the rivalry. But I guarantee you, once they swap those kits out for that red Spanish jersey, they're fighting for Spain. They're playing for Spain, and I guarantee you, Dani Carvajal is much. When you look at Lamine Yamal, when you look at the guys that play for Barcelona, when you look at the guys that play for Real Madrid, you hate when you have to play against them, but you love when they're on your side. And Spain, I'm sorry to tell you this, the way things are looking for Spain, especially now that you're going to have more Real Madrid and Barcelona players playing in that Spanish national team, like this makes Spain so much stronger. And maybe we're going to see another dominance in Spain. So, like, no, these guys know very much when to take the Barca Real Madrid out of the equation, right? When it's time to play for Spain, it's time to play for Spain. I'm guarantee you there's not going to be any friction between Carvajal and Lamine Yamal during training sessions because there wasn't any problems with. Maybe there was a few problems, maybe a little bit of problems, but still at the end of the day, Sergio Ramos and Piqué played well together. We still had that connection. I'm sure Piqué was like, man, fuck Sergio Ramos when it's Real Madrid versus Barcelona. But when they're playing for Spain, he's like, man, dude, we're about to wreak havoc on these attackers. So for anybody that's trying to make up like this friction within Spain, no, Spain's gonna be fine, and El Clasico is gonna be fine. So that's all I gotta say about Lamine Yamal, at least for that part. All right, Vinicius Jr. Speaking of someone that probably needs to work on his maturity, Vinicius Jr. Now I want to say this before anybody gets into it. Remember, once again, I am a Madrista and I love Vinny. I think Vinny is a game changer. The way he plays the game, he plays with his heart on sleeve. Can he be a bit too emotional? Yes, but that kind of comes with the package that is Vinicius Jr. Do I see him changing at any time? No, I don't. But it's fine. Vinicius gets a lot of friction as he gets. He gets, obviously with once again I talked about the whole his opinion on Spain as a country. His thoughts on some of the things. Maybe he gets a little bit too angry at the fans. Maybe he gets a little too angry at the referees. All that stuff. It kind of comes with the package deal that is Vinicius Jr. So Vinicius Jr. in El Clásico, he gets subbed out of the game to bring in Rodrigo, and Vinny was clearly not happy. He was shocked that he was getting subbed out, which I think at that point of the game, I mean, yes, it was still close. It was still close, but I think Spain, Real Madrid has like some pretty important matches going. So obviously rotating the squad, which is what Xabi Alonso has been doing since taking over, has just been able to rotate the squad out. And I'm assuming that he wanted to rotate Vinicius out to give him some rest, especially with some of the matches that are coming up for Real Madrid. As a matter of fact, Liverpool is someone who they're facing off in Champions League. So I mean, you got to rotate the squad out. At the end of the day, that's what you got to do. So Vinny clearly wasn't having it. He had a huge fit. Like I said, one of the all-time temper tantrums that I've seen. And he was like, "Oh, why me? Why me? Maybe it's best if I leave." Like he was saying this. Like, as a matter of fact, he didn't even go to the bench. He went to the locker room. Like, he was heading down to the locker and just basically saying that he should just leave Real Madrid. That he just needs to leave Real Madrid. If he's not gonna play, that he might as well leave. Like he just, which the thing that sucks is because like I keep saying that, like, I feel like everyone keeps fabricating this this stain that Vinicius has with Kylian Mbappe, that he's not happy with the club because of just all the heads that are, all the big names that are in this club right now. I wish I could say it. This doesn't like help my argument to say that that's fabricated, right? Because clearly he's frustrated. Clearly he in some way, because you have to go through a lot of shit to have that kind of crash out. And I think crash out is a very fitting word for phrase for this. Like, for you to get to that state where you're getting subbed out and you're just going full temper tantrum, saying, "Why me? It's always me. Maybe I should leave. Maybe it's best if I leave. Maybe everything will be better if I leave." But it's just Xabi Alonso is trying to rotate the squad. He's trying to make sure that he gets enough rest for the upcoming match that he's about to have. But obviously, he doesn't see it that way. And I get it. Vinny wants to play the entirety of the match. Everybody wants to play the entirety of the match. There's guys on the bench that would much rather be playing the entirety of the match, but everyone has their role. Everyone has their job in the club. And once again, Xabi Alonso has been proven that he will rotate the squad out. Clearly, Vinny wasn't having it. And once again, this kind of goes back to people criticizing Vinny's maturity, right? Like, when your coach tells you you're coming out of the game, you just kind of accept it. You might not agree with the decision, but at the end of the day, the manager sees something that clearly you don't see. But once again, I think it kind of goes back to maybe Vinny just being used to the way certain things were when Carlo Ancelotti was here, versus how Xabi Alonso is. And he stated an apology. Everyone kind of was making more of a big deal because in his apology he never addressed Xabi Alonso. I think he kind of did because he's like, "I want to apologize to my teammates. I want to apologize to the staff, the people around Madrid." I mean, staff technically counts for Xabi Alonso, but once again, people want to read in what they want to read in. And from interviews that they had with Xabi Alonso, he spoke that says, "Yeah, we talked, we had a good conversation." It's like they were asking if he's gonna punish Vinicius Jr. I ain't gonna lie to you. I would have at least benched him in the last game that they played, which I believe was I forgot who they played, but it doesn't matter. They won. It was a blowout too. But like, I would have personally have benched him. That's just me, because hey, you're gonna be like that? All right, bet. You're not gonna play this next game. That's me. But obviously, clearly, I'm not Xabi Alonso, which is probably a good thing. Look, if Xabi Alonso says that they clear the air, that they're good, I'm gonna take the word for it. Now, if you're the board and you're a Madridista, maybe you're kind of worried because Vinny and Real Madrid have been trying to secure a deal to where they lock Vinicius Jr. till 2030. Maybe if all of this is really true, like if all this is actually happening, that Vinicius Jr. is just not happy at Real Madrid because of Xabi Alonso, and he would much rather go elsewhere. Look, if you can't get a deal done, sell the guy. Like, at the end of the day, if all Madridistas understand this, no one is bigger than the club. No one should ever be bigger than Real Madrid. when you come to Real Madrid, you're playing for Real Madrid, the history of Real Madrid, everyone that has played for Real Madrid. Like that shirt means something. And if Vinicius Jr. can't put his pride aside and just be all in for Real Madrid, then maybe it's best for him to leave. I think also, obviously, a lot of people have like some imaginations. Obviously, there's rumors now that Erling Haaland might be an actual possibility for Real Madrid, which I mean, if you think about it, Mbappe would then finally be able to be on the wing. You got Erling Haaland playing the 9 role, but that's a whole conversation for a different day. Now, I would say ideally the only team that probably could afford Vinicius Jr. in reality, maybe Man City could be a team, but apparently Vinicius Jr. is very interested in Paris Saint Germain, and the reason why is because of apparently he likes Luis Enrique and his approach and all that with his tactics, which I think is hilarious because like I'm not saying that him and Xabi Alonso are very identical, but I think that they're very. I wouldn't say Luis Enrique is a player coach. I think that's like if I was Vinicius, wouldn't I want to go somewhere that is a players coach type of guy? Because I mean, and Luis Enrique might be a players coach. I'm not saying that he's not. He is someone that has played, but like I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily as much of a player coach as you think. Like he's not afraid to get in your face, and I think that that's something that maybe Vinicius isn't necessarily sure. But you know, like the reality is the grass is not always greener. And I mean, you know, we've all seen the clip. We've all seen the clip of Luis Enrique just being up front with Mbappe, right, talking about Michael Jordan and all those things. So like, I don't know if he really knows what he's truly getting himself into, is what I'm saying. Um, so there's also that. But yeah, no, I think like I said, it's just this ridiculous fabrication that I just don't get it. I really don't get it. But maybe it isn't my place to get it, right? Um, so I think Vinicius Jr. is gonna be fine. I think that eventually a deal is gonna get done. I think he's gonna eventually get used to the way it is now with Xabi Alonso. Because I'll be honest with you, the way Real Madrid is looking right now, there's no way Xabi Alonso is gonna lose his job. Like, there's no way unless they just start losing every game from here on out. I don't see Xabi Alonso getting sacked anytime soon. Real Madrid's playing very well. They're playing solid defensively. They look good in Champions League. They look good. And I mean, yes, it's close games, close victories and all that, but they're winning. They're getting the points. They're getting the 3 points at the end of the day. Despite the loss to Atletico Madrid, they've been performing fairly well. Had a great performance in El Clásico. So I don't think Vinicius Jr. realizes how much pull he really has in this scenario. So that's kind of where I'm coming off of that, on at least in that aspect. But I think Vinicius is going to be fine. Like I said, he's a very emotional player, and I think with emotional people, you can't let what they're going to say right at that moment dictate how they're really going to be. He's going to cool down, and eventually cooler heads do prevail. And so I think he's going to be fine. It was a clear overreaction. Once he gets used to Xabi Alonso, everything's going to be okay. And this is the last thing I'll talk about, and it is Xabi Alonso. All right, since taking over, obviously, like I said, Xabi Alonso has done a really good job with his club. He has really done a lot of changing as far as the culture goes here at Real Madrid. It's very obviously he's rotating the squad out. He's making sure these guys understand their roles, understand their assignments, and there is players that are very much benefiting from it, right? Like a lot of young players. Ada Guler is someone that's benefiting from the way things are right now with Xabi Alonso, and apparently some people are not like a fan of some of the changes that Xabi Alonso has. He's been really strict about with the team. He has rules that the team needs to follow, which extra gym sessions, extra film sessions. He's even put restrictions on who can attend the training and also be in the locker room. And for you guys to, I guess, to kind of give you guys a method to the madness, it is kind of more just to focus on training, right? To be focused and and have the team's privacy, like have things to stay within house. And I mean, you can't really say this is a waste of time because it's clearly working, right? Things are working well. Like Real Madrid looks really good. Like, so you can't really just sit here and say like this isn't effective in any by any means, because you are winning matches. You're right now first place in La Liga. I know it's still early, but still, you're in first place in La Liga. You're not too shabby in Champions League right now. So like, and you won El Clásico. So clearly, whatever Xabi Alonso is doing is working. It is great that you guys are getting extra workout sessions. Maybe that is helping you guys with your stamina, especially with a team that had a lot of injuries last year. You know, getting those extra reps in the gym to help, strengthen muscles, strengthen your body so you can kind of take a bigger toll when it comes to the season. Film sessions. I mean, I think the fact that you're being told that you need to go watch more film is a little bit alarming in some aspect, but like, and then the restrictions on the locker, I think once again, is just so we can stay focused. Let's get through this training session. Let me achieve what I want to achieve from this training session. And so the team is locked in. Locker room as well, I think, we need to free ourselves from distractions. We just need to be a team. We need to be cohesive as a team. And it matters that you don't have your entourage with you. So those, and like, I do remember when Xavi Hernandez took over for Barcelona, he had some very strict rules that Barcelona players needed to follow. And look, I get it. When you have gone through a different regime and you're used to that different regime and you go into this one, it's going to take a while to get adjusted to it. And obviously, Xabi Alonso is not Carlo Ancelotti. Apparently Xabi Alonso is kind of distant from the players. Like, I mean, which I think is just because Xabi Alonso is very much a student of the game. Like he's really thorough when it comes to tactics. So I mean, maybe he distanced himself from the players, but I think that's when I don't really look. I'm not saying he's like kind of like doesn't care about the guys. Like that's not what I'm saying, but that's why you have a coaching staff, right? Like they're the ones that can be more direct and observant with the players, where he's really there to see the big picture, right? He needs to see everything that's going on. And yes, he'll go in and put in his 2 cents on one or few guys, but in reality, like he needs to be able to treat fairly to everybody. But at the same time, like he can't be distracted. So like I mean, and once again, he's not Ancelotti. And once again, Xabi Alonso is like this is his second club managing, by the way. So like his second club, obviously he had his success at Bayer Leverkusen, and now he is here with Real Madrid, hoping to replicate what he was able to do with Leverkusen here at Real Madrid. Versus Ancelotti, who has been there, done that, right? Like he has a ton of experience under his belt. He has at this point, like he could do no wrong, right? Like, obviously he's kind of different from Xabi Alonso. He did play as a player. He comes from that Italian background. He has a different approach as a coach. Maybe he is a player's coach. The guy, like you see him dancing with the players and all that stuff. That's not Xabi Alonso, and that's perfectly fine. That doesn't, he. And I mean, I'm not saying that Ancelotti wasn't a tactician master. Like he knew how to put the guys in the right places for what they needed to do. Maybe not so much last year, but also last year was really hard. It was just a tricky year last year, so I'm not faulting Ancelotti for much for that. But to like say that it's a complaint be that he's not Carlo Ancelotti. Well, of course he's not Carlo Ancelotti. He's Xabi Alonso. Like he's gonna have a different approach than Carlo Ancelotti. Just like I'm sure Zinedine Zidane had a different approach versus Carlo Ancelotti and versus Xabi Alonso. Like they're gonna be different guys. That's all. Not every coach is gonna be the same. They may have ideologies that are similar to their upbringing as coaches and players. But at the end of the day, their style is their style. Xabi Alonso just doesn't work like that, and you can't say it doesn't work because once again, what he did at Bayer Leverkusen is proof that what he does is effective, and the way things are looking right now for Real Madrid, it clearly looks effective. So to like be critical about someone just because you don't like the rules that he's implementing is just a moot point. And I think it's funny because there's players that are saying, "Oh, he thinks he's Pep Guardiola." like, I mean, like, look, Pep Guardiola is considered one of the best coaches in the world, and he is a tactician nerd, right? Um, am I saying once again that he's one of those guys that distance himself from players? I don't know. I've never really heard stories about Pep Guardiola, but like guys just function different ways. I think right now the friction right now is just when you're going in with a new manager and they're doing things that you're just not used to, right? They've been used to Carlo Ancelotti. They've been used to how he does things, how he handles things. And when you bring in someone different that maybe just doesn't do what Carlo, you know what? Prime example, the Mighty Ducks, right? The movie The Mighty Ducks, right? I know this sounds stupid that I'm saying this, but the Mighty Ducks in D2, D1, and D2 of the Mighty Ducks, all you hear is how Gordon Bombay likes to make the practices fun. They're playing games. They're using eggs to learn about puck control. They have the guy from Texas with a lasso wrangling cattle. Like, in some way it was fun for the kids, but in reality, if you ask any adult, that seemed kind of fucking stupid and kind of a waste of time. Sorry for cussing, Kelsey. And then you come in D3, and that's when you're introduced to this other coach who is just completely different from Gordon Bombay, right? This guy speaks the importance of defense, whereas Bombay, I really don't know what value he brought as a coach, to be honest with you. I have a lot of things to say about Gordon Bombay as a coach, but but he was the kids loved him, right? He was a kid, he was a player's coach, right? Like, he built a relationship with the kids, and that's why a lot of guys have a lot of respect for Gordon Bombay. Whereas this new guy, he's trying to make them hockey players, right? To be a two-way player, play defensively and attacking, right? And what is Charlie? Charlie, obviously the clear person that has been mostly impacted by Gordon Bombay. He obviously doesn't like the way things are because it isn't how he was used to with Gordon Bombay. Now he's not being babied by his coach. Now he has to actually play hockey and have to earn his captaincy, and all that stuff. But that's kind of similar to what it is going on right now. Like in the end of it, at the end of it all, with the Mighty Ducks and the D3, they buy into what this coach is doing, right? This actual real hockey coach is doing. They buy in. They get it. Charlie gets in line as well. And what they do, they beat the crap out of the varsity. Well, they didn't beat the crap. They beat the varsity team in a bare knuckle defensive showdown. So like, maybe from the movie, if you guys just get in line, things are gonna work out. Because, like I said, yes, change can be a bit rough sometimes, but in the end of it all, change can also be a good thing. The Carlo Ancelotti era, as great as it was, as amazing as it was, as much as I love Carlo Ancelotti, and Ancelotti will always be someone that I have truly a lot of respect for. This Xabi Alonso era we need to see what's really going to come from the Xabi Alonso era. And so far so good. Like, I have no complaints. I think I love the way this team is playing. I love that, I love how they're playing tactically. Like, things are going well. Like, if the players just don't like that they're having these extra gym sessions and extra film sessions, like, that's a you problem. It's if you ask the fans, yeah, hey, keep going. Clearly it works. Like, that's at the end of it all. If it works, it works. I don't care what else is to say at this point. So that's the reality, right? I think once again, I think maybe Vinicius is a prime example, because Vinicius has been one of the more vocal people about Xabi Alonso. But I think Charlie you know what? Prime example, Vinicius Jr. is Charlie Conway. He is Charlie Conway of the Mighty Ducks. Like, and Carlo Ancelotti is Gordon Bombay. Like, he doesn't like this new coach. He doesn't like what he's having. He's making me defend. Like, it's not fair, and all this stuff. And in reality, this is kind of what he needs. This is what Vinicius Jr. needs. And once he figures it out, maybe he needs to go have like a little ditch day from practice, and then he'll realize that, what, this isn't a bad place to be. I'm winning some trophies is going to change everything, right? If Real Madrid can win some trophies this season, Vinicius is going to be like, you know what? I love Xabi Alonso. It could probably much happen, but we'll see what happens there for Real Madrid. You know, it'll only be a matter of time. So we'll see. But that is all the headlines. So we'll go right into talking Liga MX decision day.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
All right, guys, we are going into the final week of matches in Liga MX for the Apertura. So we're going to go ahead and look at the table. So for you guys, if you do not know how playoffs work in Liga MX, positions from first all the way to sixth place are automatically into the playoffs. 7th to 10th place will play in essentially what is called a play-in round. And in that round, the 7th place team will take on the 8th place team, and the 9th place team will play the 10th place team. The loser of the 7th, 8th place, the winner, so 7th and 8th place are playing to see who will play against the 2nd place team. And then the 9th and 10th place are playing for a chance to get to go up against the 1st place team. And so, and in this case, the loser of the 7th, 8th place game will play against the winner of the 9th, 10th place game, and then the winner will go up against the 1st place team. I know I said a lot of things, and I'm sure I lost a lot of people. Yes, I'm not particularly a fan of this setup either. Liga MX and MLS do definitely need to make some changes as far as that part goes, but if you want to think about it, NBA kind of does this as well. They do a play-in round as well. So maybe that's where Liga MX took the page from. So we'll see what happened, what exactly happened there. But has it made things interesting? Kind of, yeah. As a matter of fact, we did have a play-in team win Liga MX, which was Club America. So take that with a grain of salt. But, all right. So here's what's going on in Liga MX. Right now, in first place, we have Cruz Azul, who are actually a point ahead of Toluca and Club America. So they're going to be taking on Pumas, and Pumas is like in a kind of in a must-win situation, which they're kind of going through like a whole weird thing. Aaron Ramsey, who was kind of like one of their big signings for this season, left. Like he just did not want to come back, to just decided to end his contract with Pumas. I guess he just wasn't necessarily gelling well in Pumas. I still believe he was like dealing with an injury, so that was happening. And then I think his dog went missing, so he just was like, I'm over this. I'm on to the next venture. Maybe he goes to MLS. We'll see what happens there for him. But so Pumas is in 10th place, which they're actually also a point above Santos Laguna and Atlas. So they're in kind of like a situation where if they lose, they can be out of it. They can be out of this whole thing. So it is kind of like they're in a very must-win situation. Now, Cruz Azul, they're also in a position where if they don't get I think kind of also in a sort of in a must-win scenario, especially to lock in that first place spot. So I think that matchup is going to be really interesting to see, just to follow because of placement goes. And then Toluca and Club America are playing against each other. So that's going to be interesting just because of, obviously, they're both in position to be able to jump over to get that first place spot. At the end of the day, what is the real advantage for first place? Probably more than likely playing a team that has played 2 games, before they had to play you because of the play-in round. So that is at least somewhat of an advantage for that team, that they're going to be playing against a slightly more tired team. So that could be a really just interesting thing to follow. Um, and so I think that Toluca versus America one is going to be a great matchup in general. Both these teams are really good, very solid on the attack, very solid defensively. Both teams are very well balanced. Toluca is looking to just take over at Liga MX from what it looks like. But yeah, I think that would be an interesting matchup to follow as well. And also not to be crazy, but Tigres is also still very much in it. They're still very much in it in for the and for a to like get first place as well. So like maybe they're playing against San Luis, Atletico San Luis, who uh is maybe can find themselves in that 10th place spot. So we'll get to the bottom part, but they kind of are still in it, kind of. I mean, it's going to take a lot of other things to happen for them, but they're also in a scenario where they're kind of in a must win as well. So that'll be interesting to follow. Monterrey and Chivas, they really. I mean, aside from Monterrey trying to jump over Tigres, I think that they're really not playing for much. Chivas, on the other hand, really aren't playing for much either because, I mean, maybe just to avoid being in that play-in round. So that's what they're essentially playing for. Though I think, because right now, Chivas is playing Pachuca. As of right now, as I'm recording this episode, Chivas is playing Pachuca, and they're tied right now 0-0. So that could change at some point. Maybe that changes the table, but also that matchup against Monterrey, they're not really in a harmful position. Like they'll be in the playoffs, but obviously if they were to lose, they can, maybe Pachuca jumps over them, and now they're in the play-in round. So that is one of those things where, for Chivas in their situation, they're just kind of want to stay in sixth place, so they're automatically in the playoffs, not having to play an extra match or two before going up against a stronger opponent. Juarez, Pachuca and Juarez are still very much in it to get into an automatic position, but they're also in a kind of like a great situation where they're not going to be. They're going to at least be in the postseason for the Apertura. Tijuana is also kind of on the same boat, but I mean, for their situation is, would you rather play for that? They're either going to play like guaranteed to play one game or guaranteed to play two games. So that's if you're Tijuana, you still have a chance. Pumas at this point, like all they can do is just try to fight and keep that 10th place spot. And then so that's the teams that I'll mention here. So basically, from 14th from 10th all the way down to 14th are playing for that 10th place spot. Necaxa are very much still in it. Crazy enough to say that, but they are still very much in it. They are coming off of 3 positive results, a draw and two victories. So maybe they're kind of getting some momentum to go into to get a chance in the playoff, but get a chance to play in. But and which I'm pulling for. Obviously, it's Necaxa. It's got Evil Lagoria's there. Bonk me if you want to. But and then obviously they're also playing. Well, obviously you guys don't know, but they're playing Mazatlan, who are very much bottom of the barrel. They're in 16th place. So if they could get that win, that gets them 3 points. Hoping that Pumas doesn't get any positive results against Cruz Azul, they can jump right into that 10th place spot. Like so that's actually the same thing for Atletico San Luis, even though they're kind of in a harder situation because they got Tigres. Atlas is playing against Tijuana, which is going to be you're talking about if you could beat Tijuana, you go. I mean, Tijuana 1 is still going to be in that 9th place spot, but you just jumped over. You just jumped over Pumas for that 10th place spot, and obviously this is also barring if Pumas doesn't get the result against Cruz Azul. And then Santos Laguna, they have Pachuca. Pachuca does still have something to play for because they are in that 7th place spot, so they can improve their chances to go up into an automatic playoff position versus having to play the play-in. So that's kind of where they're at. I think that's a really interesting thing. So like from 14 to 10th, there could be some changes there, right? And then when you look at Ninth could jump up. It might be a little bit of a reach, but they could jump up into a playoff position. Kind of, maybe not. Um, but yeah, because I mean, more likely to watch like sixth and eighth place. That's kind of where the people that are battling to get that sixth place spot. That's those guys are fighting for an automatic playoff position. And like I said, you're looking at FC Juarez, who's playing against Querétaro, Pachuca, who's got Santos Laguna, and then you have Chivas, who has Monterrey. So these are, if you had to pick a team that would have to that probably has like a rough or odd, maybe Juarez because Querétaro, they're very much out. So Querétaro is hoping to play like spoiler here. But if they can, they're probably in the most ideal situation because they're playing against a team that really has nothing to play for at this point. Whereas you have Chivas, who has to play against Monterrey. You could argue maybe don't really have much to play for either. But once again, it is Monterrey is one of the stronger teams in Liga MX. And then Pachuca has Santos, who still very much has something to play for. They still have a chance to get in that play-in round. So I think that out of all the teams, Juarez might have I guess the more least pressured matchup, because if they can just get the result, beat Querétaro, they could be in sixth place. So that I'm telling you, there's things to follow in this final day of Liga MX. So it's gonna be really exciting. For me, I will honestly tell you, it is for me. It's gonna be, it's a follow. It's just who's going to get that last spot, because I think when you're talking about Necaxa can get in, Atlético de San Luis can get in, Atlas still has a chance to get in, Santos Laguna still have a chance to get in. Those four teams can jump over Pumas, and Pumas can also get very much out of the playoffs, just get out of the postseason in general. That is drama. That is exciting to watch. So I think that part of the table is going to be really interesting. I think also 8 to 6, and I'll throw ninth there just to be nice. But that will also be really interesting as well because of the whole who wants to not be in the play-in round, right? Oh, and there's a jump right now. Actually, funny enough, as I say that, there was a jump right now. Chivas scored a goal, so Pachuca is now in 8th place, and Juarez is now in 7th place. So Chivas just scored a goal. That is kind of funny that just happened just now. That's kind of cool. But yeah, wow, that cool feature from FUTMob. But yeah, that was interesting. I didn't expect that to happen. But yeah, so Chivas right now just has, which is great for them because now they have 26 points. Obviously, things could change. Obviously, the game is still being played. Maybe Pachuca ties it. But now they're in a comfortable situation, right? Now, because now you're going against Monterrey. Juarez is probably the only team you have to worry about at least matching you. But it looks like Chivas has the goal differential now. So at this point, if things stay the same for this Chivas versus Pachuca match, Chivas is in the driver's seat. Chivas is in the driver's seat at this point. So, because I think they do go to goal differential. So I think Juarez is basically 7th place. If this match is to stay the way it is with Chivas and Pachuca, that is really cool. I didn't expect that to change like that. So that's pretty cool. So, but yeah, for me, I think it's that 14 to 10th place to follow for this final decision day. Who's going to get that last play-in spot? That's going to be really fun. But yeah, man, I mean, this Liga Mega season has been really interesting. Toluca not looking like they're slowing down. Tigres is definitely one of the better defensive teams this season. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those really it could be anybody's tournament. So I can't wait for it. Yeah, man, it's been a good year. Toluca looks very much just in the lead of everything. The top goal scorer is Paulino once again for Toluca. He's actually tied with João Pedro of Atlético San Luis, but I would imagine he gets another one. Maybe gets another one. The one with the most assists right now is Alexis Vega. Paulinho has the most goals in the city. Actually, him and Vega are tied. But yeah, like I mean, they've been a pretty good team. Uh, just all in all, just been one of the better teams. It seems like everything's just written in the stars for them. Let's see who's like been. I mean, Nahuel Guzman is leading in clean sheets as well. Man, the guy's a dog. I freaking love him. But yeah, man, Liga MX, man. If you guys haven't been watching, man, watch it, dude. It is such a fun league. So that's Liga MX. We'll go ahead and take a breather, and we'll go right into Players of the Week.
Fight and win!
All right, guys. Players of the Week is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing ticketing site where me and Edward get all our tickets for all of the live events that we tend to, from sporting events all the way to concerts. SeatGeek has you covered. It has a really easy grading system if you're using colors. If it is green and has a high score, that means the seats for that event are great. Go ahead and buy your tickets and enjoy your event. If it's really low and super red, that means for those seats for that event, keep scrolling. You're going to find a better deal. Me and Edward and Spencer love the simplicity of SeatGeek, and that's why we use it for all the events that we go to. And if you're not sold just yet on the simplicity, well, for first-time users, use the code BELLYUPSPORTS at checkout, and you'll save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, life's an event. We have the tickets. So my player of the week is going to be Erling Haaland, who scored 2 goals in Manchester City's 3-1 win against Bournemouth. And Edward's player of the week is Fermin Lopez, who had 2 assists in Barcelona's 3-1 win versus Elche. So congratulations to Erling Haaland and Fermin Lopez for being our players of the week. Once again, guys, go to SeatGeek, use that code BELLYUPSPORTS for first-time users and save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, life's an event. We have the tickets. All right, guys, games to watch this weekend. We do have Game 3s of the MLS Cup playoffs. I know. But they're going to be good. It's win or go home now. Who's moving on to the next round of the MLS Cup? We'll find out. We talked about it. It's decision day for Liga MX. You know, being a lookout at what's going to happen and how that playoff table is going to look like for Liga MX. We also have Boca Junior versus River Plate, one of the biggest rivalries in South America. So if you guys get a chance, go watch it. It's a juicy rivalry. I highly recommend it. In Liga, we got Strasbourg taking on Lille and Lyon taking on PSG. In the Bundesliga, we got Hoffenheim taking on RB Leipzig and SC Freiburg taking on St. Pauli. In Serie A, we got the Battle of Turin with Juventus taking on Torino and Bologna taking on Napoli. In La Liga, we got Espanyol taking on Villarreal and Sevilla taking on Osasuna. See, I'm not always picking Real Madrid versus Barcelona, or Atletico Madrid games. There are going to be some off ones. In the Premier League, we got Tottenham versus Manchester United, a rematch of the Europa League final, and Manchester City versus Liverpool. Manchester City has seemed to find their stride, and Liverpool, well, they won a game, so that's good for them. So we'll see how that all goes. Now, obviously, this isn't all the games that are being played this weekend, but if you guys are looking for a good beginner's guide, I think we gave you guys some good matches to look forward to. So we're going to go ahead and take one more break, and then we'll go right into wrapping this show up for you.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, we can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys. I want to give a shout out to Belly Up Sports. Check out the website, bellyupsports.com. Lots of articles are constantly being written on that. Go ahead and check it out. Show some love over there. Also, check out all the great content creators, guys that have podcasts like Corner Booth, Sports Stove, 1420, all that, high-low sports. Look, I'm not trying to say, there's a lot of podcasts to talk about, but I don't have all the time to say all the names. But all the great guys over there, go give them some love. If you check them out on social media on X and IG and TikTok at Belly Up Sports. Especially now they're getting really active with these reels. You'll probably see me from time to time as well. So go check them out. Show some love. Make them feel big, man, over there at Belly Up Sports. But yeah, go give them some love over there at Belly Up Sports. Goals TV, obviously, we do a lot with Goals TV. Jose Tejas, the mastermind behind Goals TV. Check out the website goals.tv, golz.tv. For all your soccer content made here in the US of A and some overseas as well. But go give them some love, man. Go give them support. It is free to subscribe right now, so go and join so you can get in all of that content that you want that US has to offer when it comes to football. And follow them on X at goals_TV, golz_TV, and on Instagram at goals.tv, golz.tv. Go give them some love, man. They're doing great, especially if you want the game to grow here in the United States. I think that is definitely the avenue to support for sure. And, of course, look, man, if you listen to the audio versions of this podcast, you know the intros and outros are phenomenal, and it is because of none other than Roosevelt Spencer. We love Roosevelt so much that he is a namesake for our Player of the Year award. So we appreciate Spencer for all that he does. And if you guys appreciate him as well, follow him on Instagram at ThatGuyDope. Once again, at ThatGuyDope, so he'll take great care of you like he always does with us. And, yeah, with all that being said, man, we love him. And, yeah, if you guys need some beat work, hit him up. Tell him the guys from Amsterdam FC we sent you guys over there, and for him to bless y'all with some great beats of your own. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, especially if you're in the content creation business, those copyright strikes suck. Okay, they just suck. And if you don't want to deal with that, we'll have your own original beats, and Spencer can take great care of you of that, just like he always does with us. So, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Have a great, safe Veterans Day weekend. Happy birthday, Marines. Have a safe Happy Marine Corps birthday. And obviously, I'm going to be in very much family mode right now for this big occasion for my niece. And, it's just going to be a real emotional day for me. It just like watching this little girl grow up and to have this, I guess, transition of her becoming a woman, and the new adventures that she's going to partake in, and it's going to be exciting. Okay, it's been nothing but an honor to be her uncle, and I want to be a big part of her life. I think I was very fortunate enough growing up to have some really influential uncles, and I've always done my best to hopefully be that same uncle for her. And yeah, man, I just can't wait. I can't wait for everything. I can't wait to see the pageantry, see the event, be with family. It's going to be a great day, man. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for listening. Maybe catch us next week for another episode, but with all that being said, take care, guys.